Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are going to give it just a minute more as everyone is hopping online. I say everyone. We're expecting troves and troves of you today. So welcome.
I hope so.
That would be great. You know what? I'm really just manifesting right now. Everyone is going to come to this community meeting because, you know, maybe they heard that their favorite developer advocate David's here, or it might be because they knew that Kyle Davis was going to be here, former developer advocate for OpenSearch.
Yeah,
Still developer advocate, but not for OpenSearch.
Still not for OpenSearch. No. We're going to talk about some fun stuff in just a minute. With that, we'll go through and start doing some of the role. Please introduce yourself before you talk. Again, I'm David, developer advocate for OpenSearch. Yeah, feel free to use chat or audio. We're going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to have a session. We're going to do the Q&A for that session right away. And then Kyle and I are going to go, and then we'll open up general Q&A. Disruptive people will be removed, so don't disrupt us. How dare you? Couple announcements. OpenSearchCon is coming starting September 27th. Register ASAP, because even though OpenSearch is coming on September 27th, registration closes much sooner. How soon? We're actually working out the details for that right now, but could be as soon as September 8th. So please register. Also, Haystack Europe is coming the week of September 18th, which is very soon. So if you're in Europe, feel free to go and enjoy that, or come to OpenSearchCon because you want to fly around the world to see all of your friends from OpenSearch. I put 2.10 release candidates dropping tonight. It may have already dropped. It may be dropping tomorrow. So we're moving to a rolling release window, and as a result of that, we're going to be cutting a new release candidate every single day during the period of the release window. And if the exit conditions, meaning a release, can get generated, which means it's, bug-free to the best of our knowledge, and meets all of the other conditions, then we will generate the release. You can read more about that in the link that I think Chris just dropped. And if he didn't drop, he's about to drop it. So make sure to check that out. This is our new release process. So hopefully it'll help smooth things out and make our releases nice and buttery. Also,
sorry. And there's a couple of issues that we'd love your feedback on in there as well. So
yes, about the releasing process.
Yeah. Potential data.
Do it in front of the camera.
Like that. So
yeah, so make sure to drop your feedback on those. We could really use that. Speaking of feedback, we have a community trust survey. Do you trust us? Tell us about it. Fill out the survey and let us know what you think. We really could use some feedback on that, and we need a few more people to go in there and tell us all of their feelings and emotions.
Yes, please.
Emotions. All right, with that, I clicked it and it didn't go. Today's agenda is out of order. First, we're going to do connecting the dots, Calyptia, FluentBit, and OpenSearch integrations. That is one I'm really excited about. And then equally exciting, Kyle and I are going to talk about our reInvent session coming up. So look forward to that. With that, I am going to hand it over to Anurag, wherever he is on your screen. Feel free to take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, hey, everyone. I'm one of the FluentBit maintainers for FluentBit, of course, and have gotten the chance to work with OpenSearch for a while. And we're really excited about this new work that we've been doing. And if I can set the scene a little bit, one of the top questions we get within our project of FluentBit, FluentD, and within the community is always, hey, I have my data. How do I immediately start seeing what it is, how it looks like, and getting some actionable intelligence out of it? And if you think about it from the Fluent side, we are a open source log collector, open source metric collector, trace collector. We are not providing any of the storage, search, analysis, visualization capabilities. So we always have to refer to an external platform to go and do that. Now, one of the great pieces about that is with OpenSearch now, we've kind of completed this story. So you can take FluentBit, you can use open standards, open integrations, and then within OpenSearch, get a dashboard that can light up and start, excuse me, showcasing all of the relevant data for you. Now, this is all a work in progress. I'll preface all of this with this is a work in progress. But what I want to do today is I'll run through a quick set of slides about the background, what this is, talk a little bit about where we're doing this out in the open within the community. And then last but not least, a call for some help from the community and how to check it out and give feedback. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Excellent. Folks can see this? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, awesome. So to kick it off, really, one of the big things that we have been doing, as I mentioned before, is we're collecting tons and tons of unstructured information. And if we think about this unstructured information, you have these different types. You have Apache logs, MySQL, you've got JSON maps, many, many others. And traditionally, the way that we've gone and attacked these is said, hey, these log files have some sort of schema that's associated with them, but they're key value pairs. And the way the Fluent ecosystem has traditionally gone after or enabled users to make sense of this is by allowing for extraction of key value pairs. Now, when we think about all of the schemas that have been built up over the past couple of years, whether that's OpenTelemetry's log schema, Elastic Commons schema, some other ones, the reality is we can't just use this single layer to denote all of the key values. We actually have multitudes. We might have HTTP methods. We might have timestamps. We might have particular URIs, and within that one field, there might be 4 or 5 other subfields, especially within things like AWS applications. So how do we go solve this? Well, we looked at what FluentBit offers within the ecosystem that it has and said, well, instead of using a traditional parser, which is like a regular expression with capture groups, why don't we use something that's way more powerful, can give us that multi-layer level of splitting and looking in. And this is what we have is called Lua processing. So if folks are not familiar with Lua, it's like a Python-like syntax, very lightweight, great pattern matching libraries, leverages really high-performing pattern matcher libraries, and widely used, especially in things that are kind of high speed, like gaming, photo editing, and again, very, very extensible. Lots of existing articles, existing training for Lua. So within Lua, we said, why don't we then take the logs that are coming in? We're going to conform to OTel or simple schema. And with that, what are we going to be able to get? The first is we'll have nested, derived, and calculated fields. So places where we might have 4 or 5 different fields that or 4 or 5 different fields that play off of the same data, might need something like maybe a GeoIP lookup, might need something like a parser, might need something like a calculation, might need to be set to a certain data type to match a mapping within OpenSearch. We have now that capability to do it all within Lua since it effectively is code. The second is we're going to be able to conform to the schema, right? As those mappings continue to evolve, as we expect those to over time, we're going to be able to match that. Now, the third, which is probably one of my most exciting things, is I'll take everyone back here a couple of years. Within FluentBit, we have been very, very strict in what we ship with the package. We don't ship any external plugins. Everything has to be part of that C binary. The reason is because it gets deployed extremely rapidly all over containers, very sensitive environments, very lightweight environments. So IoT device like Philips light bulbs or wind turbines. we try to be as compatible with those environments as possible. So we don't include external plugins. We don't include external we don't include like things like Go plugins, which is something that we support. We strictly adhere to the C binary and a couple of configuration files. Now with Lua, the great part is these become another part of the configuration file, and we can ship that alongside the FluentBit package. So this is another place where having this great community involvement, we can not just create these Lua functions and Lua filters and Lua scripts that you can go download and build and view. We can start to ship that with the actual FluentBit package, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So just as a like, how does Lua work? It's a very simple configuration. You pass it in with a timestamp, a record, and a tag, which is a metadata artifact within FluentBit. And then you can modify it as you would any sort of particular language, right? I want to add XYZ. I want to perform the following computation. So these Lua filters, again, can be very, very long and robust. They can be really, really short, like you see here. The sky is effectively the limit. You can even call, I shouldn't say it, but you can call external APIs and everything via Lua. Makes this pipeline a little slower, but yeah, you can, if you want to try that out, absolutely works. So what have we done with OpenSearch is we said, let's go after a set of well-known applications. We're going to use parsers plus Lua to convert those into appropriate mappings. So taking those log files, converting it into either key value pairs, or directly having it ingested into Lua, or sorry, excuse me, directly having it processed via Lua. And then finally having OpenSearch integrations light up so you get that easy end-to-end dashboard. So within OpenSearch, you'll come in, you'll choose your integration, it'll light up a dashboard, and then you'll effectively be able to have all of these things that will light up. Now, you know, a ton of folks within the OpenSearch community have been doing this, so we've gotten the great chance to play off of the awesomeness that folks have already done. So they've created dashboards, they've created sample data, they've created schemas. So within FluentBit, all we really had to do is take those schemas, look at some sample data, and make sure that we are effectively getting the same things to light up those dashboards. So here's a bit of what we've gone and done. We've opened up this repo, so actually added it part of the Fluent repo. So now effectively kind of part of the CNCF. And now you have these applications where we've started to iterate on making sure you can get the Lua processing, converting into a schema, and then finally hitting into OpenSearch as an end destination. So this is one that I'm really excited about. We'll be working on it here fairly heavily. So the next release of FluentBit is going to we're going to try to ship a lot of these Lua scripts as part of the package. Again, something that we haven't really done since for 5-6 years since our original parsers file. And then from there, you'll be able to effectively just reference those Lua process files, Lua scripts, without having to pull or download any external files. As I load up some things that I can showcase, any questions in the interim?
Looks like we have a sleepy day back from a long weekend.
Sure. No problem. So let's go and let me show what this data looks like. We'll start with some kind of just view of what the code looks like, what it looks like within OpenSearch, and then we can talk a little bit about, again, the integrations aspect as well. So let's start with some down in the weeds command line. So I can showcase what this all looks like. So here I have, this is the repo. I've pulled it and I've switched into the CloudTrail section. And what you'll find within each of these is a Lua process file that conforms to a schema. So if we say look at that Lua, you'll notice it comes in, it tries to create some schema based off of events. There's some calculations. It also will, depending on the sample, it'll say, hey, look, we don't have this information present. You're going to have to adjust this Lua file. So our initial goal here is not to be like, we are 100% going to get you into the best schema possible. With some of these applications, there's a lot of variations, a lot of variance, and that's where having the community come help, give us feedback, add issues, add comments is going to be insanely helpful. And then if we look at, like, say, sample log of CloudTrail, this is AWS CloudTrail, so it takes audit events from your cloud location. I have a couple of events here, all JSON, JSON parse, where it's saying, hey, this person's coming in doing X, Y, Z. Within FluentBit, all I'm doing is reading this sample file, so the CloudTrail itself, doing a very small JSON parsing on top of it, and then using this filter Lua. Now, the other fun part I'll say is we're with these Lua scripts, traditionally you have to run them as a filter. Within FluentBit, we've introduced this ability to run them inline within the input, within the YAML format. That's still kind of going through some bug squashing at the moment. So we're expecting with that next version too, not only will you have it so these things will ship out of in the package itself, but you'll be able to refer to it directly within the input. You don't even have to add a filter. Just kind of get that immediate, oh yeah, I'm ingesting some CloudTrail logs, processor, CloudTrail, if you will. And right now I'm just outputting to standard out. So just to show, hey, what does this actually look like in practice? So we'll do this and run this. That's not too easy to look at. Let's just add some JQ there. And you'll see that it takes the JSON that comes in from AWS, it adds a bunch of specific parameters that we had set within the script. So kind of the event, body, making sure that we're getting what we need for conforming to that OpenTelemetry schema. So this is one of the schemas that we have. We've done the ELB side, leveraging some of the work that the community had already done there, some VPC flow logs for ingress, as well as CloudFront. So CloudFront, CloudTrail. There's some artifacts around RDS and some artifacts around MySQL and Kafka there too. Most of those within those log formats, we're going to be needing to do kind of back and forth to make sure all the mappings and everything gets appropriate. So we're in this phase of making sure all the dashboards work really nicely end to end. There's certain ways that we're indexing the field to the mapping that need to be adjusted. But the great part again, with things like Lua, is those mappings can be defined, right, versus just an extraction. So yeah, that is most of it. Let me go ahead and paste the GitHub repo here.
That was going to be one of my questions. Is the GitHub repo where you expect people to contribute new processors, or how can the community best help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would put it in maybe 3 buckets. The first is you want to consume these things and you don't see the integration that you love in there. Add an issue in OpenSearch, add an issue there, wherever it is. We'll keep working together, make sure that it's going to be lit up there for you. So please, feedback is always great. The second is if you are seeing issues, bugs, adding things within that repo on the issue side, adding things within the discussion side is fantastic for us to make sure that we can squash those. we'll do our best effort to make sure we're keeping up to date with any of the schema updates. So because of the really nice aspect around OTel schema, simple schema, these things all together, we believe that great, that's all stable. We're going to be able to kind of iterate really quickly on it. But of course, this is software. It will never be bug free. And then the last bit is if you want to get super involved in it, right? That repo, please use that. You can contribute to it. We'll take PRs because we've put it under the Fluent repo under the Fluent organization. It follows the same type of contribution aspects around CNCF projects, and so yeah, it's a very, very open, easy standard to follow.
For sure. Is there also a place for people to have discussions about dashboards? I know that could be a contentious topic, like, no, it shouldn't be a bar graph for this, or, is that really just a starting point and you expect more people to just modify them and iterate on that?
Yeah, so this might be a great one for Josh and others from the OpenSearch team. I would reckon it's probably best served there in the OpenSearch dashboards, in the OpenSearch dashboard issues or repo versus here. But again,
Yeah.
like I said, we're all friends, so I'm happy to throw those requirements over to say, hey, someone's asking.
Yeah, you guys over there deal with this. Thank you, Lior. Lior just dropped the link as well. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, and then thank you, Chris, as well for the call out on the forum. I'm really excited about this though, personally, because that's been one of the hardest things is just getting something going quickly. This is going to make it so much more straightforward to get things just going so you can start playing with it and, have a nice starting point to say, all right, this is what other people are looking at, like what else do we need? How can we layer on top of this? So thank you.
And we've started a lot with the AWS services, but of course, like there are so many other applications like MySQL, Kafka, things that folks are probably already logging, and they probably already have some sort of schema artifacts that we can build on top of. So again, that's great for folks to say, please help us with this. And it's like, okay, cool. Like that's one we can look at prioritizing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much then. I know you've got a jet, but we appreciate your time here. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more of what comes of this.
Cool. Thanks, folks. Bye for now.
Bye. And with that, we're going to hand it over to Kyle and going to hand it off to myself as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about a reInvent session. And then towards the end, we'll have some time for open Q&A. Maybe we could discuss our release stuff some more. So Kyle.
Hey, everybody.
Surprise.
Hey, it's really strange to be back, but I'm really glad to be back. For those of you who don't know, I was the developer advocate when OpenSearch started, which seemed like decades ago, but somebody reminded me it was only about 3 years ago that I started at AWS, and a lot of things have happened. So yeah, I now work for a little thing called Bottle Rocket, and it's a open source Linux distribution developed here at AWS. And I had this opportunity to say, what do people want to do? And when I started this, one of the things people really want to do is find a way to get information off of Bottle Rocket, find the information about the nodes. It works with Kubernetes, so they want to find out the kubelet logs and things like that. So I wrote a blog post several years ago, now or a year and a half ago. I said several years ago, and it's on OpenSearch.org. If you type Bottle Rocket OpenSearch into your search engine of choice, you'll find it. And that has been really useful, and people have constantly been asking us about like, oh, I want to get hands-on with it. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll go through a little bit. Can you guys see everything? Can folks see this?
Coming through.
Yeah.
Crystal clear.
Thanks. So we put together a session, David and I, and what this is going to do is address a few things. So if you are interested in OpenSearch, and running it on Kubernetes and wanting to get hands-on with it, that's something we'll talk about. Using a container optimized Linux distribution, like what the heck is that, and how do you run OpenSearch on top of it? Cover that. Connecting FluentBit. This is like a very themed community meeting, right? Connecting FluentBit to gather data from your node, right? So things like kubelet logs, things like even bringing in metrics from the node itself, or logging things from BottleRocket itself into OpenSearch. We'll go over that. And then using OpenSearch to query the relevant information from all that information you're gathering. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be talking a little bit about that at this session. So David is gesturing wildly and on his screen.
It's somewhere on people's screens. So I'm like,
okay.
It's somewhere. I'm going to hit it at one point.
Yeah. So this is our card that David and I worked on, mostly David. And for those of you who don't know, we have to put these things together and they have like really, really constrained character limits. And we had so much fun trying to figure out how to fit everything on there. So logging with EKS, so Elastic Kubernetes Service, BottleRocket, FluentBit, and OpenSearch. So we hit like all the product names in one thing with David and Kyle. We had all sorts of fun trying to fit our names on this because the character limits. So you'll see this slide around social media. We're sharing it with people. I'm sure David will add it into several community meetings, and I'm hoping that OpenSearchCon, which I can't make, this will be like the interstitial between all of the sessions, right?
Yeah, sure.
I
don't think I can pull that one. Yeah. Is that a formal? I need you to submit an issue, a ticket.
I'll do that. Yeah. So please come and see us. How this works. This is a complete hands-on session. So it's something where you're gonna be able to do this from soup to nuts. So you'll walk in not knowing much more than what these things are, maybe not even that, and you'll leave with having experience on it. It's going to be run by David and I. We're going to be presenting. So if you've seen us in the small screen here, or read our blogs or things we've written over the years, you'll see us in person. And we have I think 3 knowledgeable helpers. They'll be going and helping people. So it's a really intimate type of workshop. We provide all the resources for you. Did somebody need something? I heard
Sorry,
something.
I made a comment. It was offhand. Go ahead, continue.
No, go ahead, please.
I just said hands-on. That's all.
Oh,
intimate, hands-on. Yes.
Intimate, hands-on. Of course.
Yeah.
It's a little
this
much,
is about how good our session's going to go.
Yeah, I know. This is we decided to do this just a little while ago. Holiday weekend kind of shortened the timeline we could put this session together for this one. The session reinvents will be great. All the resources are provided, so you don't have to come in with an AWS account, anything. They're an upright EKS cluster with several nodes. I mean, that itself is something that's worth something. So what we want you to do, if you're planning on going to reInvent, you'll need to sign up very soon. And I think that we'll get the link shared in the chat. It's not already there. Something that's really important to us, even if you can't attend our event or you already know more than we do, please go and click the heart button on the session. And I'll flip over to the session. Too much stuff on my screen. It looks like this, and you can see this little heart. Please click that heart for us. It is really important for the session, even if you can't attend. As I said before, this is a really intimate session. It's only got I think maybe a dozen seats or so. But if enough people heart that session, they'll give us another session and another session and another session, and we can talk about OpenSearch with more people. So that helps a lot. And you can find it here. Basically, OPN 201 or 202 rather is our identifier. If you want to do it, I don't think you can reserve a spot just yet. If you've never been to reInvent, you have to reserve in advance. So it's kind of like signing up for classes at a university. Make sure you do that. And then come to reInvent in December, December and November. It's the usually the weekend right after US Thanksgiving. So it's a good time to go there. If you haven't been to reInvent, it's a lot of fun. And towards the end of it, it turns into a rodeo show, which is really weird because the reInvent always coincides with a rodeo. So it goes like tech people, and then like Thursday, cowboy hats start showing up, and then a rodeo takes over. So that's always a fun adventure to see. But yeah, so come to reInvent if you can. I think that's all I got. Oh yeah, attend and learn a lot, just in case you didn't know what to do. So we just don't want to tell you about it and tell you what to expect. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the session or about Bottle Rocket and OpenSearch together. But that's all we really want to do is just kind of plug this. David, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, I was just thinking, with this using FluentBit as well, it'd be nice if we might look into some of the connectors Anurag was mentioning earlier. That would be phenomenal.
I was just
Super cool.
thinking, like, maybe I'll, submit something to that repo and make some lives easier with that. I put in the chat. I love Lua. I've been writing Lua for like over a decade. It's a really fun little language. But we'll see what's off the shelf. Maybe we'll use that too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, hope to see you all there as well. If you have ideas of things that you'd like to see done with this, feel free to ping us. We're still working on the presentation, but yeah, we have the tech stack set. So don't tell us to go use, I don't know,
Loki.
Red Hat, Loki. Awesome.
All right. I'll stick around for questions and just if anybody has anything, feel free to hit me up in the chat or we can talk otherwise.
Or we can, and also we'll open up to general Q&A as well. If anyone has any general questions about our news release process, I'm not the person to talk about that. However, there are people here who can, or just general questions about OpenSearch.
Hey, this is Lukáš speaking. Can I have a question?
Yeah, you sure may.
Okay, so I would like to ask about benchmarking, if I can. If there has been, if this topic has been discussed before, then please tell me, because I was not able to follow all recent meetups. But what I would like to ask or maybe suggest is if we can have as at some future community meetup, if we can have someone from the benchmarks team here on the call, so he can walk us through the nightly benchmarks. I think that would be a great thing to do because it will help us understand, hey, what we see, and maybe we can have discussion what we can add. And part of that is a specific question that I would like to figure out some kind of answer or guidelines. Let's say this way. So yeah. Imagine that I'm a developer on OpenSearch, and someone opens a ticket that he spots some performance issue.
Yeah.
And typically what happens is that this can be someone who is running OpenSearch on a large cluster, but I as a developer don't have such a capacity. So it can be even challenging for me to understand and simulate environment to really debug the problem. So how can I is there something that I can benefit from? I mean, as far as I understand, those nightly benchmarks, I will only see the effect of my code once it's merged into into specific branch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my question. That's my suggestion.
I think that would be great, actually. So I think the nightly benchmarks, and someone like Daniel or Andrew maybe could correct me if I'm wrong, but the nightly benchmarks are built around the OpenSearch benchmarks tool, which I believe, I mean, I don't know that we have the plans that you can just apply across both, but that would be good to know. Because you should be able to run those benchmarks on your own, but you do need access to some sort of test cluster, I think.
Yeah, and that's the point. If not everyone has large beefy cluster lying having around, right? That's
that does make it challenging to wait for it to go. Maybe we could even talk about doing like a flagging system where it's like, hey, I think this might need to go through benchmarking now. But yeah, actually, Daniel, or DB, that's a great point. Why don't we bring that up in the performance on Slack, and maybe we can schedule that as our 2 week from now session, to see what we can what we can do around that, because yeah, it's challenging to debug distributed, you know. Any other thoughts there from anyone else in the group? Not going to call people to mics unless they want to. But yeah, hopefully we can see some results. Cool. What other questions do we have?
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, Maman. Yeah. So I don't know whether to ask this questionnaire is right, because I am new in this open source. I recently joined around 10 to 11 days. So I want to know that for a new joiner, how he or she can start open source exploring. Means I get to know about more of the things, but still I am having some doubts. So how could I start exploring open source?
Yeah, I think we do have quite a few. Are you looking more to contribute or more about using OpenSearch?
No, I like to contribute in the open source.
Awesome. I think a really great way to get kind of started, and this was actually, of course, DB's recommendation to me, is start small. Pick some either small issue or even just contributing some documentation can be super helpful, right? So maybe testing something end to end, like just recently I was trying to get ML feature working. So wrote a little bit of code trying to get the quick start going. I was like having some troubles. So reached out on Slack and then, you know, opened up a documentation issue that brought some discussion up, which was great. And then eventually ended up, you know, like finding out, oh, look, there's a little bug here, bug there. Start contributing small in this way. And then you can start working on to, you know, larger different contributions. But so yeah, my best advice to you is actually just get started. Yeah, actually, thank you. Andrew just dropped, we have quite a few that are labeled good first issue in that search. And that's the second one that he posted in the chat. And then the first link he posted is the contributing. That's just our guidelines for like how to go about contributing. We ask people to sign their requests, which is just git commit -s, and then that signs your commit. So yeah, start small. Feel free to talk as much as you want. Like we have the OpenSearch Slack, which is a really great place to ask questions. Additionally, we ask questions on GitHub, you know, and just get going. You know, it's no one's going to give you don't need permission to start on any one bug or issue. Feel free to just play around. If you can't end up resolving it, no worries. You know, you can kind of move on to the next thing or yeah. And the wonderful thing is everyone here has been super supportive. I mean, all the people on this call, I recognize a lot of people on this call. There are some people that I don't recognize, which is, well, hello, nice to meet you all for the first time, hopefully. But yeah, so everyone here has been super helpful. And yeah, we also have a forum that you can ask questions on. I like Slack personally because it's nice talking to real people, or not real people, but people live.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And looking forward to seeing your contributions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Also, a healthy reminder, if you haven't registered for OpenSearchCon, do so now. Just going to keep plugging that. It's free. May as well. All right, well, we'll close the meeting out here. I'll hang out, just chat for a couple minutes if anyone wants to. Thank you, Chris, for dropping the links to register in the chat. Also, if you'd have things you'd like to hear about in future meetings, like Lukasz did, please let us know. It's really hard finding content for these meetings, and especially knowing what you guys are here to hear about, you know, whether that is contributing, whether that is, you know, knowing more about the nightly performance benchmarks. I don't know that unless you guys tell me. So let us know and we will go hunt down the people with vicious ambition to get them on the call and to give them the information you're looking for.
Yes, please. And we always post the agendas for the upcoming meetings in the forum as well.
Oh.
They're open. People are allowed to come in and post what they'd like to see on there, whether they'd want to present or not. Yeah, come on in. Let us know, like David's saying.
Mm-hmm. So thank you all and see you at OpenSearchCon and reInvent and all the other events that we expect you to
Exactly.
travel for and attend.
And Open Source Summit EU, so you can go see DB talk. That's going to be
Yeah.
fun.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone.